In this video, we will explore where cutting-edge science meets occultism, an ongoing, ever-evolving theme that helps to demystify the divine nature of reality and reveal the science of spirit. This type of inquiry will also expand our perspective of life and help us relate that which is above to that which is below, which really comes from discovering the link between that which is within and that which is without. This will naturally bring us to the inner spiritual organ, the Antahkarana, or rainbow bridge as it's often called, which connects our higher and lower self together through a stream of light constructed creatively by abstract thought during deep and active meditation. This will lead us to a broader understanding of energy in motion and the nature of thought forms through electric spin. We will also investigate some of the magnetic secrets of nature and incredible technologies emerging from these discoveries. All of this will allow us to better develop our intuition and achieve a better sense of the realized purpose within this world of living conscious substance. And thus, continuing this ongoing theme of bridging, in many ways, this video's purpose is to act as a segue between our prior series, The Electric Bridge, and our next series, Dynamic Symbols. This is Occultism and the New Fire. Imagine for a moment the smallest thing possible, a subatomic particle. And now imagine the largest, the entire universe. The question is, what do these two extremes of size, the biggest and the smallest, have in common? Well, the answer according to the esoteric philosophy is that neither of them actually exist, at least not in the way we traditionally think. They are concepts on which the modern understanding of reality is based, and so they belong to the world of illusion and the age of measurement. This statement might seem like an oversimplification, but we shall elaborate on it. In Helena Blavatsky's words, it is on the doctrine of the elusive nature of matter and the infinite divisibility of the atom that the whole science of occultism is built. Esotericism seeks to unveil the deeper side of nature. Naturally, this includes a more metaphysical approach to looking at reality. Therefore, our intention here is to go beyond the threshold of what our ordinary senses reveal to us. Esotericism states that underlying both matter and apparently empty space is a more subtle or rarefied form of matter, the ether as it's often called, and the atomic matter of science is a comparatively gossamer structure in this very substantial medium that is far more elusive than any form of matter known today by material science. Being an intersection between the tangible and intangible, one could say that it is the medium or fluid whereby energy becomes matter and matter becomes energy. This might be another oversimplification, yet still gets an intuitive point across. And if we were able to examine this ether objectively, we would find that, in turn, it has its own structure, which is divisible, and beneath which lies a subtler yet denser medium still, and so on ad infinitum. This is one of the great paradoxes of esoteric teachings. The inner spiritual realms are often portrayed as rarefied and more subtle, fiery, and even formless from the human perspective. Yet they are in another sense, more dense and substantial. And to ponder this interesting conundrum can transform the way we conceive of life on the inner planes. From the perspective of more refined, successive states of consciousness, every plane of existence and subplane therein is an ever more focused point of concentration. It was over a century ago that science disregarded the idea of the luminous ether. Yet with modern advancements, it is now, in many ways, coming full circle, even if it is not yet fully recognized by academia. The discovery, or shall we say rediscovery, of the ether will be like a window into the more metaphysical dimensions of life. This will eventually create a new age for science and ultimately a whole paradigm shift for humanity, as it will truly unlock many of life's secrets and help to demystify the divine nature of reality. In parallel with the discovery of the ether is also the new understanding of the dynamics and origin of consciousness. This new awareness is emerging within all aspects of human life, and as both come more to the forefront, we will begin to see the signs of this new paradigm shift. The relation between consciousness and the ether is unfolding through what is being called biofield science. As this develops further, the materialistic model of life will dissolve, and a more refined and advanced metaphysical model will develop in its place. Thus, the universe will be seen more as a living organism rather than just a mechanism. Initially, consciousness will be seen as fundamental and emergent. Then eventually, it will be understood as a fundamental aspect of the universe itself, like energy and matter, yet the balancing force between these two opposites. Being the primary generative force in nature, in time, electricity will be seen and known as the bridge between the outer world of matter and the inner world of energy, where consciousness is always relating the two. As we can see, in the grand scheme of things, most still remains unknown to us. Yet through occultism and this new fire, we can discover much of that which lies just beyond the threshold of our tangible senses, inching us ever closer to the eternal. Let's now see what this holistic perspective looks like. The essence of this transformation is in fact captured by the statement, "The beginning is near." This expresses the zeitgeist of our times, a transition period between the age of atomism and the age of organism, the latter being a time when the relationships between all the parts will be seen like pieces in a jigsaw puzzle, revealing a greater picture of universal reality. Hierarchies of organisms, with each organism a host to the organs and organelles below, and itself an organ and an organelle of that which is above. And what these hierarchies all have in common, as we shall explore later, is that they are all expressions of the divine imagination. But for now, science is in the last throes of atomism, the age of measurement, and the reductionist way of thinking that sees all manifestation as the chance arrangement of fundamental particles of matter, with consciousness as a lucky yet purposeless byproduct. And so the quantum physicist, chemist, biologist, and psychologist stand between this world and the next. Yet without the equipment required to discover the finer levels of matter, and so records only what can be directly measured. The conclusions reached are driven by denser matter, and therefore not surprising. At the very small, the laws of cause and effect seem to break down, and nature operates in a very strange and different manner to the way it behaves in the macrocosm. However, according to the occult truism, as above, so below, the world of the very small operates in a similar way to the very large. Everything cycles in and out of incarnation under natural law: stars, planets, humans, and even so-called fundamental particles. It is just that at the subatomic level, the elemental lives incarnate, die, and reincarnate in a time frame that corresponds to their size, each incarnation lasting around a millionth or even billionth of a second. This creates the illusion of a nonsensical realm of probabilities and uncertainty where things pop in and out of existence for no apparent reason. However, when the law of cycles with its manvantara, or activity, and pralaya, or rest, is taken into account, the solar system model of the atom and its orbiting electrons, though no longer used in physics, still reflects the reality of the microcosmic world most accurately. This model now brings us to our next section, the model which connects us to the inner worlds and the inner life of spirit. So where is all this going? It's leading us to a bridge of fire between this world and the next. The bridge opens up at the subatomic level and is one on which both the occultist and the electrical scientist stand. It provides the means whereby the work of each of them will be mutually empowering in the cause of world redemption and spiritual growth. So looking first at the bridging work of the occultist, we know that the technique is to align the personality, or lower self, with the soul, or higher self, and become sensitive to its impression. It involves engendering a magnetic aura on which the highest impressions can play. The life thread that connects the soul to the personality is like an electric current, with the resulting magnetism in the aura of the personality radiating and spiraling around it. In the East, it has been called the sutratma, and in the West, the silver cord. Electricity and magnetism are two sides of the same coin, electromagnetism, beautifully demonstrated on the physical plane in the way that wherever an electric current is found, there is also a magnetic field wrapped around it like a corkscrew. This was explored extensively in our series, The Electric Bridge. The electrical engineer and a replicator of many of Tesla's experiments, Eric Dollard, described this relationship as electricity always trying to move from the inner to the outer planes, while the magnetism coiled around it is always trying to move from the outer to the inner planes. This is also true with the electric current we call the life thread that anchors the incarnated soul on the physical plane, and the magnetic field, the consciousness thread that is slowly weaved around and back up toward the soul. The two of them fusing together as one electromagnetic bridge, the Antahkarana. And so a magnetic field spirals around the life thread, forming a vortex in the matter of the subplanes that divide the personality and the soul, which is to be found on the higher mental plane. To use the words available to us, the soul's energy substance pours down this vortex, impacting the head center, influencing the lower centers, and illuminating our consciousness. At the center of this light in the head, a point of dark blue electric light emerges, and the bridge of consciousness that has now been formed between the two worlds stands illuminated and revealed. Through this connection, the energy of the soul and the personality forces can be synthesized together before flowing into the physical body. And this connection also allows the spiritual initiate to access the inner worlds. This is described in the Blue Books as the funnel or the channel for the sound, the trumpet through which the escaping aum can pass. In this way, the occultist forms an electromagnetic vortex that bridges between two worlds, bringing the fire of each together to carry on the fusion process that will result in the one unified world of the future. Speaking of the future, nature is revealing her secrets to us, and when utilized for the good of the whole, great promise can emerge from such findings. So having looked at the vortical bridging system between the soul and the personality, we can now consider the work of pioneering scientists and engineers whose experimentation with new energy sources promise to form a similar type of bridge to the world that lies immediately beyond the world of the five senses. Not the world of conscious living souls per se, but in this case, the etheric counterpart of the physical plane. The generation of a magnetic aura with which we're familiar in esoteric work occurs in this instance when certain metallic powders are ground down to a very small size of between 3 and 12 nanometers. These materials have a beautiful honeycomb lattice, and when energy is applied, vortices start to appear in the spaces in the lattice, curling magnetic whirlwinds that vibrate together in unison. Even more strangely, they behave collectively like magnetic monopoles. The vortices have only one pole, a north or a south. This means that the group vortex has a viable magnetic charge. In other words, it produces energy. This phenomena, known as asymmetric magnetism, seems to take place naturally within this size range. Asymmetric magnetism has also been discovered in enzymes, all of which have at least one of their dimensions in this size range. As nature's catalysts, enzymes speed up chemical reactions in cells through energy manipulation between the etheric and physical counterparts of the cell. This enables the efficient building of ordered structures in random chemical environments, which clearly demonstrates the universal creative intelligence of energy, force, and substance when brought into manifestation. They accomplish their work through asymmetric magnetism. The north and south poles of their inner structure are separated. One monopole is on the physical plane, and the other now appears on the etheric plane, from which electric charge is drawn down to bridge the gap. In this way, enzymes are able to localize copious amounts of energy through cooperative group oscillation. The electric charge also carries information from the etheric double of the physical structure, organizing the building of physical forms in line with its inner archetype. Because the experimentation with new forms of energy by a number of scientific and engineering groups around the world is emulating the way nature works, it is likely that a breakthrough in relatively free and limitless energy is on the horizon. Humanity's future growth includes embracing and demonstrating the natural and fully efficient aspects that nature reveals for the overall betterment of mankind. All information pertaining to nature's building patterns and processes is held in the ether and transmitted across the threshold between the visible and the invisible realms through an electrical condensation process based around the geometry of the hexagon. The hexagon is the blueprint for the archetype of matter. In the Alice Bailey teachings, we read that already, the electrification of the planet is one of the things which is inaugurating the new age and which will aid in bringing about the revelation of the presence of the soul. Before long, this intensification will become so great that it will materially assist in the rending of the veil which separates the astral plane from the physical plane. The dividing etheric web will be shortly dissipated, and this will permit a more rapid inflow of light. The light from the astral plane, known as a starry or radiant substance, and the light of the planet itself will be more closely blended, and the result upon humanity and upon the three subhuman kingdoms in nature cannot be overemphasized. Vortical energy systems are also the way telepathy works between two minds in resonance with one another. The thought of the transmitter traveling as a spiraling helix of energy and translating back into a thought pattern upon impact within the aura of the recipient. These literally electrifying findings, both in nature and technology, correspond wonderfully to the cooperative oscillations that are set up through group meditations, the Triangles Network being an outstanding example. Within this lattice of light, thousands of people around the world subjectively link up through focused intention and harmonic vibration, allowing light, love, and power to pour through the magnetic vortices that are thereby generated. The ramifications of this process, in tandem with electrical energy extracted from the ether, are huge. Through this, the connection between the world of the occult and the world of science will really start to become more apparent. And yet, as we evolve intellectually and therefore create new technology, it is vital that our moral and spiritual evolution is also fostered so as to not offset the balance between them. To further show the similarity of process between the vanguard of electrical science and esotericism, here is an image of the triangular geometry that makes up the lattice of the magnetic powders many researchers into new energy forms are using. They are a class of exotic magnets collectively known as spin ice. The term arises from the fact that their low-temperature properties are closely related to those of crystalline water ice, hence their beautifully descriptive and accurate name. Spin ice has networks of corner-sharing tetrahedra, which induces spin about their axis, and this movement prevents them from freezing completely. In the laboratory, this spin can be manipulated to generate one resonant system of whirling vortices. They behave like a group magnet with only one pole, and this creates a bridge to its etheric counterpart via which the new electric fire is brought onto the physical plane. The similarity between the properties of spin ice and crystalline water is not confined to water at very low temperatures. As also explored in the Electric Bridge series, a fourth state of water has recently been discovered. It occurs at the surface of water and has the properties of a liquid crystal with a negative charge. While this charge is thought to come from various light sources, such as the sun and the infrared light that is all around us, which are both true, it also comes from the inner etheric realm, and it is the way organisms receive genetic information from their archetypal structures in the inner worlds. The water surrounding all the DNA within the physical body of a life form is in the fourth state of water, as discovered by Jared Pollack and his team. And this enables the storing of information relayed to it from the etheric body of the organism, much as a computer stores memory. Changes in the etheric field thereby control all the biological processes of DNA known to science with regard to the construction, maintenance, and the mutation of the organism's physical form. Water is a condensation of the ether. It is clear from the above that we are approaching closer and closer to an electric revolution in the way we view the universe and its functioning systems. This will eventually reveal the true atom of occultism, beautifully described by Rudolf Steiner as coagulated electricity. Here, a clue is provided to understanding the realm of the very small, to moving beyond the atomistic thinking of the current scientific era and understanding H.P. Blavatsky's comment about the elusive nature of matter and the infinite divisibility of the atom. But we can go one stage further than this to the root cause of all electric phenomena, the divine imagination. As Steiner commented at the beginning of the last century, atoms, as scientists think about them, are part real and part man-made in the world of thought. We are familiar with the truism, as a man thinketh, so is he. And this is all the more powerful when it comes to group thinking, especially given the unfolding energies within the dawning of this new age for humanity. As a group of powerful minds think, so it becomes. As we know, spirit and matter are one and the same thing, just at different levels of vibration. And the atomic particles of the future are created as directed thought causes, the splitting of the spirit and its translation into matter. Another way to understand this is that the whole physical plane is a direct reflection of the mental plane, and not just within nature itself and all natural processes, but also man-made creations. This is by virtue of the fact that we are co-creators within a conscious creative energy field of substance and responsive vibration, all endowed by the greater divine imagination behind it all, the mind of God. So, in other words, there really is no objective reality out there separate from ourselves. An interesting analogy on this process is given by the mathematician and physicist George Under. When you have a piece of glass and you shatter it with a hammer, then you have splinters. But of course, it would be utter nonsense to assert that the glass consists of splinters. Window panes made out of safety glass have an inner pattern which can be seen with polarized lenses. You thus see the future particles into which the glass will shatter, so that in the event of an accident, there would not be too many long and dangerous splinters. One can see the future splinters, the future particles of glass, and in the like manner, one can see in crystalline matter the future particles or atoms. The whole mystery of space-time originates in this process. Again, in the words of Rudolf Steiner, space is something that originates together with matter when spirit is shattered and thereby goes over into material existence. This is why we read in the book Telepathy and the Etheric Vehicle by Alice Bailey that the universe isn't really expanding. It's an illusory effect of humanity's expanding consciousness. Space itself is the relatively static fabric within the etheric web of a yet unknown cosmic entity. So the interesting conclusion is that, to a degree, science is creating the reality that it thinks it is discovering. Such is the power of thought forms and imagination in the world of illusion. Even the technical tools and machines that it builds are invested with something of the human spirit expressed in them, which again conditions the elemental lives they are built of, the way that they behave, and the things they discover. This is a radical and profound concept that will both revolutionize the world of thinking intellectuals and hence lead them into a more intuitive approach, yet also at the same time create great conflict in the minds of many thinkers who will find it difficult to grasp the new reality. For this reason, when free energy from the etheric realm becomes a proven fact, it will undermine the laws of known physics, and a new and greater phase of reality will then be created. Whatever those new theories formulated are, they will mold the behavior of the matter of the future. We see here the responsibility of esotericists and occultists alike to bring the light, love, and power of divinity into the equation and become intelligent collaborators in this process of spiritualizing matter. It is a discipleship responsibility to ensure that future creations are in alignment with the divine plan. As it is known within the ageless wisdom, The work of humanity is to infuse the world with the qualities of the plan to the degree that at the end of its current phase of evolution, the Earth itself will become the archetypal atom of the next Manvantara, or planetary cycle. It will then condense into a type of atom that carries the entire spiritual essence for the next Manvantara, or evolutionary cycle. Held on the archetypal level, it will, at the appropriate time, burst forth into small, manifold atoms on which the next planetary manifestation will be built. This, of course, is eons of time ahead. And yet, in the final analysis, what really is time? This expands the idea of reincarnation to a far grander level. As we stated earlier in the video, subatomic particles reincarnate every billionth of a second, the human soul reincarnates every century or so, and as just mentioned, the earthly soul reincarnates within these vast timescales measured in the billions of years. All the real occult atoms of which the new world is made will contain the essence of the qualities distilled from each, and all single lives and experiences in this world period, and the essential outstanding quality required is that of compassionate love, the essence of universal divine energy. How a world made of such atoms will be is a theme for deep meditation. This and many other things we will ponder much further in our next series, Dynamic Symbols, which is coming soon. So to help support our future content here on this channel, consider supporting us on Patreon. We'll see you in the next video. you.